What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. Today we are going to be covering some knives that come in under that $30 price point, and these knives I have tested, used, carried, and in my opinion they are good to go. It is hard to find a knife a lot of times that comes in under $30 and it not be complete junk, because there is a literal sea of knives under that $30 price point. Some are great and some are garbage, keeping in perspective the price point. So this is a knife I unboxed earlier in the year. It doesn't have a particular name. It is the JSWS folding knife. JSWS doesn't have a ton of models out, but if you type JSWS into Amazon, this knife will pop up. They don't have a ton of options, but the options they do have, I can get behind. Coming in at $29, you're going to get 440C, a nice clip point blade with a satin finish, fingerprint magnet. It comes down nice and slicey, very pokey tip. This thing is ultra sharp. Right out of the box, it came nice and sharp. You have dual thumb studs for deployment, crossbar lock for your lock mechanism, and it is nice and strong. Does hold up under duress. Open construction. You have micarta handles, which remind me of Vostide's micarta and a couple other companies. Anodized aluminum pivot collar, two-way reversible deep carry pocket clip, lanyard hole, semi-contoured for 29 bucks. Hard to go wrong with this thing. And like I said, I have used, carried, tested this thing out, and I am pretty impressed. And it's a full-size knife. Under 30 bucks, I think this is a definite gem. This next one comes by the way of REMT. This is called the Handfield, and I think that name suits it pretty well. It's a weird name, but it is a nice hand-feeling knife coming right in at that $30 price point. You're going to get 9CR, 18 MOV, which at 30 bucks is a good steal. You have this nice spear point like drop point blade. It's got a coating on it that is held up very well. You have dual thumb studs and a rear flipper tab, and the studs and the flipper tab are done very well. The studs are comfortable, thumb flick, reverse flick, and then the rear flipper tab is great for push button and light switch. You can get a lot of leverage on that thing. It's about equal with the pivot, but the way they have it designed, you can get a lot on that flipper tab. G10 handles, very reminiscent of like Kubi's G10 and how they finish it. Deep carry clip, lanyard hole, not reversible for the lefty brothers out there, but you know, for 30 bucks, it is kind of what it is. You do have good access to that liner, easy to disengage, solid lockup, solid lock. Does hold up under duress. For 30 bucks, this is a great little EDC knife. Very fun to carry as well, and it's all murdered out. Definitely like the REMT Handfield at the $30 price point. Nice little EDC package. Don't like the REMT on the clip, but for 30 bucks, it is kind of what it is. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. Next up, we got the Grow EF973. Now, this is probably the newest model to me on this list, but over the last week or two, I have really been putting this thing through the ringer, testing that liner out, seeing how it holds up under duress, and this thing's an absolute beast, guys. The Grow EF973 comes in right around 27 bucks. It came with a great edge right out of box. Got this black wash finish coming in D2 steel. Nice drop point blade. Don't like the EF on the front, but not a big deal at 27 bucks. Flipper tab is done very well, in my opinion. Good grip on that thing. You can get a lot of leverage on it, and you can push button it out. detent is tuned pretty well. For just a flipper only knife, it is tuned to my liking. You have an anodized pivot collar there. I like the pivot. Nice little unique pivot there. You do have burlap micarta. It is the exact same micarta that SAVI uses. I've compared them. It's exactly the same stuff. Minimal hardware, nice big lanyard hole there. Open construction with internal milling. Great access to that liner with the chamfer. You do have a deep carry pocket clip that is a beast, just like the knife. It holds retention well, easy to get in and out of the pocket. Lots of room under there. The screws aren't recessed, but it's not necessary. Lots of room under there. The action is good, and like I said, the edge came nice and sharp out of the box. Pretty thin down there, and the lock is solid, and this is a big knife as well. So for 27 bucks, I think this is definitely good to go, in my opinion, in the early stages. Now this one is one of my more favorite knives on this list. It's got a lot going on. The Nedos Mayba coming in right around 30 bucks. It's got a lot going on, but it's built like a tank. Nedos puts good edges on their knives as well. This is coming in D2 steel. They put a nice finish on here, nice coated finish. Comes down pretty thin. Blade stock is pretty thick. You do have dual thumb studs and a rear flipper tab for deployment. The detent is stout on this thing. This thing rockets out of there. The thumb studs work very well for the thumb and reverse flick, and yeah, you can slow roll this guy out. It is all steel construction, and then you have this G10 inlay here with the skull and cross guns on there. You know, that is what it is. Now, this one, the only knock I really have is it's going to be tip down carry. I wish they would have mounted it for tip up carry, but you know, when we're talking in this price point, it's hard to get everything you want. Even knives that are double the price, it's hard to get everything you want. So if you can get a good strong lock, you know, good geometry, a good edge, and something that is comfortable, which this is very comfortable in hand. Very, very comfortable. And it's got that great sheep's foot blade on there. Good access to the liner with a chamfer on it. Good solid lockup. Definitely holds up under duress. And when I say that, that means I have tested it and it holds up good. Lanyard hole down here at the bottom that's integrated into this back spacer here. For 30 bucks, this is definitely a good knife in my opinion. I wouldn't bat an eye for 30 bucks at this. As long as you don't mind all the, you know, the skull and the cross guns and the logoing and stuff. You know, if you're just looking for a pure user and you're going to be beating on this thing anyway, it doesn't really matter. The nice steel construction holds up very well, and it's going to last you a good long time. And it was centered out of the box and still is centered. Nedos Mayba. Now, if you're looking for something a little more traditional, I love this little thing. The Buck 112, this is the most budget form of it that you can get. Comes in right at 30 bucks. And I have no issues with this knife. You get the clip point blade, nice stone wash finish, coming in 440, dual thumb studs. This is going to be a backlock. This is going to be function over form. This is going to be just a pure user. Deep carry clip here, so that is nice, a nice touch. Standard buck clip for these Buck 110s and 12s. Ergos are good. It's a nice little EDC knife. No frills, nothing flashy, just a cutting tool from Buck. I'm a huge fan of the 112 and 110. They are icons in the knife world. Solid lockup, centered blade, nice slow roll out. Good ergos on this thing. I do prefer the 110 because of the size, but the 112 is a nice little minimal fifth pocket carry, or, you know, it could be a main carry as well. I can get a full grip on there. And then you got a nice little blade. Big fan of the Buck 112, especially at 30 bucks. It's hard to knock this knife. So if you're looking for a backlock, something that's solid, Buck made, you know, 30 bucks, this is a great little user right here. The Buck 112 backlock and pocket clip. Definitely built like a tank. This is going to be one of the better ones on the list as far as materials and value is concerned. This is the Reich P865, coming in 14C 28N steel. You have a high polished sandblasted blade, nice Wharncliffe, nice pokey tip there. Comes down nice and thin. I have used the crap out of this thing. Pretty thick blade stock for how short the blade is. You do only have a single stud for deployment, but boy, let me tell you, that detent is tuned very well for this thing. And if you're just looking for a user, you know, 29 bucks for this bad boy, single stud, this thing rockets out of there, guys. Rockets out. You can get a lot on this thing. They do give you good access, or pretty good access, to that liner with a nice row of fine jimping, G10 handles. They do have this kind of semi-contour to them. Deep carry, steel rollover clip. It will not be reversible. Very minimal hardware. This thing is a slicing machine. I really like this bad boy. And what I love most about it, besides the 14C and the Wharncliffe blade, of course, is this full-length backspacer, baby. This thing is ultra comfortable. If you're looking for a slicey EDC, this is definitely one to take a look at. To get 14C, G10, deep carry clip, good access to the liner, great useful blade that isn't brittle as shit, full-length backspacer, and you're going to get that at 29 bucks. That's a steal in my book, and the detent is tuned good. So this thing is a winner in my book, and this knife will be hanging around in my collection for the foreseeable future. Now, if you're just looking for a little utility cutter, little fifth pocket knife, the CJRB Mya, 30 bucks, powdered RPM 9 steel, dual thumb studs, and a front flipper for deployment, G10 handles, anodized aluminum pivot collar, deep carry pocket clip, little G10 backspacer, hidden lanyard hole. This thing's a nice little utility cutter. I love this little thing. I picked this up just, you know, I like Swags and what she does. That's who the designer is here for this guy. I also have the more Mya, which is a bigger version and is featured in another previous video of 40 and under. This thing has a nice detent. There is a bunch of different options of this knife as well on Amazon and any other retailer. You get a 3-finger grip, but that swell gives you a lot of control on this thing. Very comfortable in hand, that sheep's foot blade with a little bit of belly. Nice utility cutter, especially at 30 bucks to get a powdered RPM 9 steel. Multiple deployments, well tuned, easy to carry, minimal package here. I really like the CJRB Mya. Coming in at 27 bucks, this is another great little utility cutter, fifth pocket knife, the SAVI Mini Praxis. You know, you're going to get D2 steel, a full finger choil, a nice thin slicey blade with a satin finish, drop point style blade, G10 handles, good access to the liner with the row of jimping on there. Nice deep carry pocket clip there. It will not be reversible. Came nice and centered. You're getting SAVI's build quality with these. So D2 at 30 bucks and a well-tuned flipper. This thing is fun as hell to carry. It comes down nice and thin, and you can get right up on that edge for some nice controlled cuts. Index grip for those very fine detail cuts. I'm a big fan of this little mini Praxis, and for as thin and whatnot as that blade is, it's a dropper still, just a one shake, and she is going home. You can get a lot on that flipper tab as well because the detent is tuned perfectly. Push button, light switch. Love this thing, especially at its price point. Very hard to beat the little mini Praxis at 27 bucks if you're just looking for a knife, little utility cutter, fifth pocket style knife, or just a smaller knife in general. This is definitely one to take a look at. Last but definitely not least, the Migon Teog, coming in right around 30 bucks. This thing is an absolute beast. 14C 28N, a single thumb stud here. This is a straight back blade with a tumbled stonewash finish, and you get this awesome top flipper. I love this thing. It is fun as hell to play with. Lockup is solid. You get pretty good access there to that liner, and they do include a chamfer on that guy. Deep carry, steel rollover clip. You get a lanyard hole there, G10 backspacer, steel liners. The G10 is done well. Show side is nice and clean. You get the Migon on the pivot. This thing is no secret to my channel. I've been raving about this thing all year. When it was at 40 bucks, this thing is now at 30 bucks right now, currently on Amazon. And to get 14C and G10 and a good build for 30 bucks, guys, I put this and the Reich up there with some of the best value on the market. Getting 14C, G10, a good build, slicey blades. You know, 30 bucks is not a ton of money, and you can get a lot of knife for that. Let me know what your favorite knife out of this group was. Let me know what your favorite knives under $30 are. It's definitely hard to narrow that down for sure. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel or you've been here before and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. I'd love to have you here. I'm going to throw up 2 new videos here and here. Go check one of them out, and I will catch you on the next one.